At Primary Residential Mortgage, you can purchase a new home with a low interest rate and a small down payment for less than you're paying in rent. Primary Residential Mortgage, the home of the American dream.
Back in November 12th, approximately 10:30 in the evening, family was having a Sweet 16 party over at the Sportivo Club, 2500 Park Avenue. And at some point, a group of individuals walked into the party, and a melee, for lack of a better word, ensued. As a result, we began to get 911 calls, shots fired, and we discovered five gunshot victims. They were taken to local hospitals, and they all survived. The next day, we discovered there was one more. So actually, there were 6 altogether. That person also is doing fine. Detective Bureau did a tremendous amount of work on this case. Great attention to detail work, and they were able to secure 2 warrants at this time. One of the warrants is actually, the 2 warrants are for juveniles. Juvenile number 1 is a 15-year-old male, was arrested today on the warrant. I'm sorry, no, wasn't arrested today. Was arrested on the 9th, on January 9th. The other individual was arrested today. He's 17 years old, and they were all charged with carrying a pistol without a permit, unlawful discharge of a firearm, criminal intent at assault in the 1st degree, reckless endangerment in the 1st degree, breach of peace in the 2nd degree, horrible acts of violence in the city of Bridgeport that are not going to be condoned. This is a good community. We are good people. We are God-fearing people, and by the grace of God, that nobody died that day. This community shall not tolerate these acts, and we are committed. We, the Bridgeport Police Department, these detectives, the best of the best, second to none, will not allow this to occur in the city of Bridgeport. So if you have any intentions of shooting somebody, go do it somewhere else. We're not going to tolerate it in Bridgeport. I'd like to have the president of the Common Council, Tom McCarthy, say a couple of words.
Thank you, Chief. So the phone call you get, that is the one you dread the most, is the phone call that there's shots fired, and it's in a group of children that are celebrating a Sweet 16, trying to have a good night, being positive in the city of Bridgeport. And then you hear that phone call, and there's dread, and you get 5 and 6 people shot. And on one hand, that's an awful tragedy. On the other hand, you're lucky that out of all those shots that rang out, nobody was hurt very seriously. And so you say a prayer of thanks for that. But then you get mad and you get enraged that how dare someone come and do that in our city? How dare someone attack these sweet innocent children that are just trying to celebrate a Sweet 16? And so I want to say a thank you to the chief, to the police department, to the Detective Bureau in particular. We are thrilled. This is our council district. Jeanette Herron and I are the council people in the 133rd. This is our district, and we treasure the safety of our district very strongly. And I know that's held by all the council members in the city of Bridgeport. And we thank the Bridgeport Police Department for getting on this, for investigating it very quickly, and making sure that they very quickly and effectively got the assailants, and we're putting them under arrest, and we're going to make them see justice. But more importantly, it sends a message out to the entire city, to the entire area, that you cannot do these sorts of crimes in the city of Bridgeport. We will get you. We will come after you. And the Bridgeport Police Department has the full and confident support of the City Council in Bridgeport. And we have funded 2 new police classes. We are in the process of making sure we rebuild this police department to the capacity it needs to be, but also we want to know that we stand united. We stand united against these outrageous crimes, and that we will stand together in making sure that those who do the crimes pay. An aside, quick note: it is sad that when you see the ages of the people who are pulling the trigger. It makes you think a little bit about their home lives and things like that. But I want to also say that it doesn't matter what your age is. What matters is how you live your life, and it matters that if you pull a trigger, and a gun and you're a young kid, you will face the penalty. And so we want to make sure that kids understand that there's a better way in their life, there's hope in their life, and there's a better path than going down the path of violence. Thank you.
Thank you. Janet, do you want to come up and...
Hi, Jeanette Herron, City Councilwoman, 133rd District. That evening, we heard the shots from our house. I immediately called Chief A.J. Perez and called Tom McCarthy. We heard the police cars, we heard the ambulances, and it was a tragedy, knowing that that club had that violent act on a Sweet 16. I personally know the members of that club. I was mortified. But people in this community have to understand, we are not going to tolerate this nonsense in our community. Nowhere in this city. If you're going to come here to create a problem, you're going to get caught. This detective bureau, this chief, this police department is probably one of the best around. They are doing a tremendous job, and we support them 110%. So just remember, don't come to our community and do this. You're going to get caught.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll open it up to questions. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer to the best of my ability.
Chief, was there anything that could have been done to prevent this? I think early on you said that security was kind of on the light side there.
Yeah, security was on the light side. We're working hopefully together with the common council and try to put something together so that if you're going to have this type of party, you need a permit. You know, you need security, depending on the size and the water. Recently, we just had a double homicide that occurred Odell Club, I believe, and basically the same thing. There was a rap concert that was going on, and the security was minimal at that. If you're going to have this kind of events, you got to be prepared. We are fortunate in the city of Bridgeport. We understand what it takes to police these kind of events. So, because we have learned from our mistakes. So here we are very, very conscientious of these things. So we're trying to do make sure that we have a system in place, for lack of a better word, that requires that if you're going to have a party, okay, a large-scale party, you need to come in and apply for a permit.
If I could just follow up on that.
Yeah.
I believe you said it back in November that accidents like this were preventable. That
Yes,
acts like this
absolutely.
were preventable.
Yes.
And you spoke about a proposal for an ordinance. And I'm wondering
Yeah.
specifically where that's at. How much support is there on the city council? Is there any kind of draft language?
Yeah, so we've actually had the council has had good conversations led by Jeanette Herron and a few other good council members and myself. We've had good conversations with the chief, with some other police officers, trying to find what the medium is here in terms of how you create an effective ordinance that doesn't really restrict people's abilities to have parties, because you're talking about in Club Sportivo, the Italian club, you're talking about a place that actually is very safe, that has had very few problems.
Right.
But clearly over the last few years you see something developing there that maybe needs to have a higher level of security, maybe a police officer there. So we're trying to find the good happy point where we don't inhibit people's ability to use facilities in Bridgeport for parties, because we want to make sure they can do that, but at the same time we create a safe environment for everybody when they come to Bridgeport.
So what's your timeline for that kind of proposal, and what's the next step?
Work in progress, right?
So the step will be is a draft ordinance going into the council and going to the ordinance committee. We are not there yet in terms of the ability to put in ability to pass an ordinance that we're all comfortable with yet, but we're definitely working on it. I would say probably in the next 2 to 3 months you're going to see something come through.
One of our reporters spoke to one of the victims, and she actually said that they had hired 4 private guards. Now, are you drawing a difference between having those private guards or having actually someone from the Bridgeport Police Department working that party?
No, absolutely, right.
I would leave this to the chief, but I would say my opinion is, and I think it's shared by most of the council, is that a police officer is always better. You put a uniform in a place like that, it is worth 3, 4, 5 private security folks. That doesn't mean that private security doesn't have a place in this situation, but a police officer in a uniform is always a better option.
Right. No, I echo the same sentiment. If we would have had a police officer, I would have been more comfortable with too. But a police officer with a police vehicle outside the venue, it wouldn't have happened.